Hey everybody, do you want to start weathering your rolling stock and locomotives but you don't have an airbrush? Well, that's no problem. Today we're going to go ahead and start weathering up a boxcar that I have, and we're going to do it without an airbrush. Hi, I'm Andy Dorsch and welcome to my channel where we create amazing prototype models that take your hobby to the next level. Today we're going to go ahead and weather up an HO scale boxcar that I have that I got from my NMRA Winnebagoland Division. It's a Division Club car, as you can see here. It's pretty sweet, and we're going to go ahead and weather that up today. We're going to do that without using an airbrush. So if you're like me, sometimes you're just lazy, you don't want to hook up the airbrush and do all the cleanup that goes along with it, or you don't even have an airbrush but you still want to create a really nice looking prototypical model. Well, today we're going to go ahead and investigate on how we can achieve some awesome results without using an airbrush. Alright, as you can see here we have the Winnebagoland Paper Company boxcar. I'm part of the Winnebagoland Division of the NMRA, and this is our club car. It's pretty sweet looking Accurail Box car, pretty standard. But what we want to do is give it a good coat of weathering so that we can have it rolling around on our layout. So with any good weathering project, what I like to do is start with a prototype picture to get an idea as to what we can do with this boxcar. So I went ahead and I queued up a Milwaukee Road boxcar that looks very similar to the Winnebagoland boxcar. So we'll transition over here, and as you can see, this car's got a fair amount of rust and grime on it, and you can see the yellow door is heavily discolored, and some of the Milwaukee Road, or the white lettering, is kind of either covered up with grime and rust or starting to fade away. You can see the trucks are heavily weathered. And it looks like this car has seen quite a bit of action. I'll take a look at a second picture here. On this one, if you look in the upper, our left-hand corner, you can of the car where the Milwaukee Road lettering is, you can see that the lettering is starting to come away. So we're going to try and mimic that on our model here today. So I'll just kind of bring up a checklist of what we are going to be doing here, and I'll just swing over to that. So as you can see here, we'll talk about our details and dull coat, and then we're going to start fading those letters. We'll add some rust, we'll bring back some of the white on the letters, and then we'll go through and finish up the weathering project. So swing back here to the model itself. I just want to show you a couple of details that we added here on the bottom. So we went ahead and added the airlines. As you can see, I added some chain and whatnot there. I'll bring that up closer so you can see it. We put Sargent couplers on, added some air hoses here on the ends, and did the rest of the brake rigging. Let's see. We also added some dull coat to it first, or lusterless flat overcoat. So this is Model Master lusterless flat. You can get this in a spray can. This is what I use. Some people swear off the spray can, but if you don't have an airbrush, this is a great alternative to get a nice dull finish on your cars. And also that dull finish is going to provide a tooth for your weathering materials to stick to. So the first thing that I want to do is we're going to go ahead and take this fiberglass, I guess, pen or brush, and what we're going to do is we're going to scrape away some of the lettering here to kind of simulate that that fading of the lettering. So just going to lightly scratch it here, and you can hear it probably start to scratch away. I'm going to put a link in the description below on this video where you can get this item on Amazon. I always hate it when people talk about tools or materials that they use. They never tell you where you can buy them. And then it's like, well, I use this really cool technique, but then, you know, it's like, oh, well, I can't find it, so I can't copy it. So we'll go ahead and put a link to any of the cool things that we add here. So you can see there on the W, it's starting to come away. I'm going to try and go up and down with this. I don't want to create any lateral scratches. And this will scratch the model, so you can go back over it with a 400 grit or more sandpaper, just lightly dusting it off. You can also use lacquer thinner. Lacquer thinner with a Q-tip will remove the lettering, but you'll have to go very sparingly because it will take it off quite quickly. As you can see here, we're just kind of rubbing that Winnebagoland lettering right off. As you can see there, I'll bring it up close. You can see the Winnebagoland is starting to fade away. You'll get some of the paint with this as well. Don't worry about that so much, because the next step, we're going to probably change the color of the car a little bit to match something that's been a little more UV damaged, stuff like that. We created with the brush, and as you can see, it doesn't look too bad. So the next thing that I want to do is we're going to go ahead and use some pan pastels to kind of change the color, and we're going to use this color here, if I can get it here, burnt sienna. So we're going to take a little burnt sienna, and what I want to do is lighten up the car. So the car is pretty brown, but it probably won't look like that after some sun fades. So what we'll do is we'll take this is a makeup sponge you can get from Target in the cosmetics section. I think it's $2 for a packet of 50. These things work great for applying weathering materials, so we'll just get a dollop of it here, and then we'll just come straight up and down, and you can see, look at that, holy smokes. So you can see how we oranged up the car pretty fast. And that's kind of going back to our prototype picture here. I'll just flip back to that so you can see kind of what we're dealing with here, how we're making that car orange, kind of orangey like the prototype here. So you can see that car had some orange to it, quite a bit of rust. We'll transition back and you can see our car is going to have the same effect. So it's going to have quite a bit of orange. And we can darken it up if we don't like it. We're going to put it on, try to get this pretty much on all the car here on this side. Now, just like the baking shows, I've gone ahead and pre-done the other side, so I cheated a little bit so I don't bore you guys to death doing two sides of the car. What's neat about these pan pastels is you can go through here and can add as much as you want, and then you can kind of find a clean sponge spot here and start to pull it off. So you can see I'm starting to pull it away and lighten up that amount of material on there. So it's not like, oh, you just turned it orange. More of a subtle effect then. So we'll just come up here and just like that. Just want to give that tint to change the coloring of the model just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and we're going to add that to the roof then too, just to kind of simulate the sun, kind of coming down on it in spots. And it's going to look really orange to start. Get my hand out of the way so you can see. But really just kind of get the highlights out here. Let's take a look at that so you can see how it's changed the composition of the paint, or what it would look like. So just go ahead and set it down and just start to make sure we work it in real nice. We know that when we add the dull coat onto this, we're going to lose some of the material, and that's okay. But you can see, look at that, how it's changed the color of that car. You'll notice here I'm wearing latex, or these are nitrile gloves, but I'm wearing gloves so I don't leave fingerprints on the model. You don't want to do that, because that's a real pain in the you-know-what to try and weather a fingerprint, and I've done that quite a bit. Alright, so this is what we got, and we're pretty much done with this piece here. We'll come back up and down here one more time, just maybe add a little more, really make it orange, and then we'll come back up and just take off a little bit. Alright, so that looks pretty good. We got our car kind of rusted up, so let's kind of take a look at our checklist here and see what's next. The things to do. So next on the things to do, we've faded those letters, we've added roof rust, we can bleed the white letters a little bit, we faded the car, started to rust it up, highlight the weld seam, so that's a good one we can do right about now, and then highlight the door and track. Funny business. Why don't we go ahead and start doing the seam highlights and stuff like that. I'm going to use some Bragdon weathering powders for that, and just a simple little brush here. I like to use either dark rust or even soot in some spots. You don't need a lot with this. Comes in little bags. You can buy a kit off the internet, and I'll put Bragdon's website down in the bottom along with the pan pastels. So it comes in a little bag like this. This is weathering pigment. It's different than the pan pastels. It's got a little more stick to it on the models, but you can see you can load up a brush. I'm going to put it over here in the mixing area. That's a lot. We'll get another load here, and that'll probably last me for the whole model. It's pretty serious. Alright, so now we got here we're going to mix it up, and I'm just going to real lightly start on the one side, and look at that. Just really change the composition of the car. You can see here over here on this corner, I should probably put this where you can see it, but it really makes a difference. So we'll do the door quick. Really want to darken that up. So I've been often ridiculed that in other weathering videos that I've done, is that I really load it up, and I do, because oftentimes the effect that you get gets a little minimized when you put the dull coat on afterwards. So it may look like a ton of material now, but in the end you'll wash it all off. So you can see the coloring and the highlights starting to change here on the door by the hinges for the plug door. You can see that there. Just get a little. We'll get the door track too. We like to do that. So I'm just essentially dry brushing this on. Rubbing it into place is really good here. Going over it multiple times. Following the seams. Going vertically up and down, never across the model. Kind of simulate the streaking there, so you can kind of see how that's changed the composition of the door paint. There's a nice brown there, or black. I'll come in with a brown here now. And we'll just add some of that to the exterior of the door. Kind of dirty that up, maybe the center here. You can see that on the center. And then on the side panels here, you got black in the middle, the black on the seams and the hinges, and brown on the middle and the ends. So that's what we're looking at. So you can kind of see it, it's real subtle, not too in your face, but you can tell there's a little difference in color there. And do it over here, this side, and just kind of highlighting those seams. Make it look like there's some depth there. Now, once we have all the dust applied here, what I like to do is take a blending brush, working straight up and down, just kind of go right through it. There you go. Something like that. I'll do a blend down the top too. Alright. Blend it up. Now it's time to get crazy here. So we've got our checklist, we've added the rust, we've done some of the seams, did a little door fun. Now it's time to, what we're going to do is add some oils here. So what I like to do with this, and this is a little crazy, okay, but I like to take these sponges again, okay, that you see here, and I like to dip it in some oil-based paint. I got, I'm going to say, burnt sienna, raw umber, yellow ochre, and white. And we're just going to take some of the burnt sienna, we're just going to get a little bit on there, and then I'm going to dab it off on a paper towel just so it's not totally ridiculous. I'm gobbing it on, and then we're just going to lightly add some darker rust to the top. And we're going to start right at the seam of the roof. I'm going to get that paintbrush out of there. And we're just going to kind of work around, okay? And we're going to go real slow. So we're just going to do the seam here. If this is not a scientific process, it should be random. You don't want to just have a straight type pattern all the way across. So go heavy in some areas and light in others. And that's what I like to do with this. But I do like to put like a full coat on here. This is a neat little technique I like to use because that's fun. Just like that. Alright, good. So now what we can do is we can also, if we want to, we can add a little texture to that. And we can do that with some pan pastel. Oil and pan pastels work very well together, so I got some, I want to say this is another one of those dark umber type colors. We're going to add it to a sponge here. This is Red Oxide Dark. It's one of my favorite weathering colors for Midwest, upper Midwest stuff. Pull that aside so I don't stick my shirt in it. And then you can just add it right to the rooftop here and just kind of dab it on. You can see it kind of change and then stick to the, even drag it a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that blending brush and we'll just knock off the extra stuff. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So take a look at the top of that. You can even do this technique on the sides if you want. For like rust spots, use a smaller sponge. Really works nice. Maybe we'll do that. Let's take a toothpick and let's get crazy here. We'll add some rust dots and then we'll add some texture with pan pastels. So let's say maybe like right here. Let's pick a spot. Let's kind of rub in a couple of spots. Here's one. Here's one. Maybe you got like a swoosh or a line, a tree branch. Maybe from the door here. A little. The door's been scraping on the car there. So then, what a guy can do is, now that we got our sponge here with that darky rust, let's go ahead and pop it on there just like that. Kind of see how that adds that rust right to it, and then it sticks. And look at that. That's a pretty neat technique. You come back in with the blending brush and take the top stuff away. And always, just in case any streaking occurs, leave her just like that. And then we'll just take a good close-up here. You can see that kind of the model. Half the fun with weathering is kind of experimenting. I like to do a lot of experimenting on cars, and you never ruin it, and just play with it long enough, and then it just turns out real nice. So I always like to experiment and go from there. Alright, so we're doing pretty good here on our car. One thing I want to do is, one of the techniques I like to do is kind of do a bleeding of the white lettering. I've always liked that with using oils and just kind of streaking and bleeding the white lettering, because it never really stays in one spot after it's been exposed to the elements. So we'll get in tight here, and what I want to do is just show you how I like to do it. It's a pretty basic process, and we'll do it, take our toothpick and we'll do some white paint, some titanium white, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of pick a spot where there's white and just kind of add some dots, maybe underneath this spot right here. Not much, you just want to put just a little bit, not hardly any at all on there. And what you want to do is take a flat paintbrush here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pull that straight down. Start above it and drop it straight down, and you see it's kind of a lot. So if it's too much, what you can do is just take a little bit of I use mineral spirits with oil-based paint, and just kind of dab your brush and then dry it off to get rid of all that paint on there. And then also you want to dab it off so you don't have those sorts of mineral spirits, and you can just kind of take it off as you come back up. So a couple things are going to happen. You'll get some nice bleeding effect with the mineral spirits, but then you'll also clean up some spots if you haven't dull coated your model yet. So you'll get some weird spots on your model, so you'll want to make sure you dull coat it first before you try this technique. But you can see there's some of the white starting to come right off, and go down with it. We just want a real subtle effect. So put this back in the mineral spirits here. I really like that effect that we did with the oil-based paint and the pan pastels making rust dots. So we're going to add a couple more. Alright, so we're gonna also add some heavy rust streaking to the sides here, because that's fun to do. And I want to do it over the Winnebagoland. And what we'll do is we'll start from the top and pull down. We'll just take our oil and add it at the sill, those darker areas. And we're just going to pull straight down. And we'll take a little bit of mineral spirits with us here. Make sure we dry off our brush. And then we're just going to go straight down. You may ruin some of the effects you created on your first go round. That's okay. I would suggest hitting the model with some dull coat before doing this. There, just real subtle effects here. So now we're going to let that dry and see what happens. While that's drying, we can go ahead and start doing the wheels and the trucks. So it's the same technique that I like to use with the old swampy sponge here and some weathering powder or some pan pastels. So I'll take a good dollop of the acrylic and just kind of knock it off so it's not too caked on, and then we'll just dab it on the trucks or on the side frames. And we want to make sure we cover the whole thing with that. So I've used an old skewer here. So some people say that pan pastels on themselves do not work very well with styrene or plastic. Maybe, but if you add them with oils, they really add a neat texture. That could be probably said with the Bragdon stuff as well, but I like pan pastels. I like Bragdon. I like them both. Oh, we got a little extra rust here on our boxcar. That's okay. We'll come in with the blending brush and just add a little, just adds a little character, right? All right. So now that we've gotten, looks like our model's starting to dry in some spots, so we can come back and we'll add that. Gotta add that white. We're gonna do it from the state this time. We shouldn't have done it from the circle. We'll do it from the state piece here, and take our small brush. Clean it off, dry it off, and then we'll just come in from the top, go straight down. So we got a little carried away here. And I'm actually going to go right in full strength. And you can see that's way too strong, right? It almost looks like we can pull some down and off. Look at that. Nice. It's starting to really look good. So we're going to take a tooth or a Q-tip here, and we're going to clean this up just a little bit to kind of give it some definition. See that? Something like that. And what we'll do is we'll come in again with that brush. And we'll just wipe it off, make sure it's nice and dry. And we're just going to pull it straight down. There. You can barely see it now. There, not bad. Just a couple of dots in the middle, you know. Maybe highlight the seam a little bit. Come back in here. And hit it with the blending brush. Let's see what that looks like. Boom. Look at that. It looks not too shabby. Nice. Very nice. Starting to come along. So we've gone and added a coat of dull coat to our model just to give it, just to kind of get all the weathering that we've gotten in there to stick right now before we add our final touches. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to come back and add a little bit of truck detail here and some highlights, and then we'll just highlight a couple of the spots, the rough spots that we have, and then go over the sills again and the ladder just to darken them up a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of the ye olde Bragdon weathering powder, and just open up my bag here of, this is antique iron is the color that we're using. It's more of a terracotta, and it's goes along, a little bit goes a long way, so we're just going to add a little bit here, some on the edges, and then same here, just kind of give you an idea. Really goes quite far. And then some of the panels I kind of want to just bring out some of the orange, some of the orange back of that old Milwaukee Road car that we had. So just going to put a little bit of orange, and then what we'll do is we'll smooth it out, kind of, you can see I'm just adding a little bit here and there. This stuff goes a long way, so I want to be sparing with it, otherwise you'll basically have an orange model again. I don't want to do that, so because I really like some of the colors that we're getting here with the dark browns along with the oranges. So what we'll do is we'll take our blending brush. We're just going to kind of touch down across the model, and you can see some of the orange coming back in spots, real light. Same with up here, kind of almost like a dot. We can scrub that out, kind of elongate it, and then if we really want to kind of smooth it out, we can take a sponge here and just pull it down, really kind of either erase it or blend it into the existing models, so you can kind of see it rub out a little bit. Just create a subtle effect there. I don't want it to stand out too much. That's not looking too bad. I kind of like that a lot. So pretty much, I'm just kind of hit the ends here to get these to brush off. So it looks pretty orange there in the spots. So we'll come back with more of an earth tone color, this iron oxide brown, and just kind of calm that orange down a little bit. It's pretty, quite a lot. Use some of the Bragdon stuff here too. Yeah, it's not too bad now. No. We'll go back with a little bit of the pan pastels. There we go. So, just going to hit it a few more times with some of the brown here. Just to kind of add a few extra little highlights and quirks. And then one thing I wasn't pleased with was the shading on the door. Really wanted to kind of over accentuate that. So what we're going to do is come back to our old friend the Bragdon stuff here. And we are going to use, I'm going to go with this dark rail brown. So I don't want it to be black, but I do want it to be discolored. So we'll take a little bit of that, throw it in our mixing jug here. Sorry for the reach, and then we'll just come back over the top. It's going to take a little bit of work, I think, to get this to stick. Come back in with the black. Really work it in. Come with the black on the door track as well. Get that kind of greased up. So a couple other tips here. What you can do is, if you want to create a grease effect, you could add linseed oil, and it gives a really greasy effect, kind of a shine almost to your model. If you want to simulate a fuel spill or simulate a just grease hanging out, you can come back with a black acrylic or oil, and then come over it with some pan pastels. That'll work as well. And ultimately what you want to do is just kind of create a nice effect that we have some darkness here to the door, where this area would be wearing here by the hinges and rollers. So yeah, I think that's going to pretty much draw this modeling project to a close for us. So I think I like it. Let me know what you guys think about it as I kind of fiddle with it here a little more. Do you like what we did? I noticed I busted off the stirrups here, kind of monkeying with the model, and that is a problem. I do have some A-line stirrups that I can just add in at a later date, but ultimately I think this turned out really well. We didn't use an airbrush, and I really like the results. It took me about 2 hours to do, so if you're willing to put the time in, you can create some great effects here with just some few simple products. So if this is your first time here to my channel, or first time watching one of my videos, please subscribe. That way you can keep up with all the railroad videos that I put out. And if you want to see me do some more weathering, some stuff with an airbrush, why don't you go ahead and click on the playlist over here, and I'll see you in the following videos.